Hello, YouTube and Whooper Club fans. It's Fruit Taco, coach of the Route 1 Burbs, here bringing you the second feature match from the 13th season of the Whooper Club League here. This week we have the Seattle Steamrollers going up against the Elyria Electabuzz, newly rebranded from the Lorraine Lyron. So, both of these coaches are 0-1, starting off the season with a loss and hoping to get their first win in the season here. So, well, let's see who gets it. The Steamrollers are Cyclizar, Enamorous, who cannot Terra, Toadscruel, Gallade, Basculegion, who cannot Terra, Volcanion, wwho cannot Terra, Bellabolt, Sliggoo, Hisui, and Clodsire, who also cannot Terra this season. They're going up against the Electabuzz with Dugtrio Alola, Hisuian Lilligant, who cannot Terra, Hydreigon, who cannot Terra, Hisuian Typhlosion, Florges, and Chansey. Just the 6 Pokemon that they started with, not picking up any Mons in the auctions yet, definitely gives the Steamrollers a bit of an edge, at least in terms of what they can bring. I do think the Steamrollers also have the edge in speed here. They've got the fastest Mon in the matchup in Cyclizar, as well as that scary Enamorous only being outsped by Alolan Dugtrio means that if things go right, it could really, really wreck the opposing team if that Dugtrio can be dealt with earlier. Looking at the entire team of the Steamrollers, like I said, Enamorous looks crazy. Calm Mind, maybe, contrary superpower to kind of take advantage of that Chansey wanting to switch in. A lot of interesting options that it could run here. Cyclizar, I think it will also be great here, resisting that Typhlosion stabs, providing fast pivoting, as well as knockoff, again, to, weaken that Chansey. Then you've got Clodsire, who can Toxic those walls, as well as just, provide decent coverage for hitting things like the Florges. I think, they've got a lot of good just staple Mons that should be able to just kind of put in some consistent work here. For the Electabuzz, their Hisuian Lilligant looks pretty dang scary. Victory Dance set goes pretty hard. Ice Spinner, Close Combat, and Leaf Blade hit 5 of the 9 Pokemon on the opposing side super effectively. You're going to need to make sure that you chip the bulk down first before you kind of go for that sweep, but I think, with that and hustle boosted moves, as long as you're hitting them, you're going to be doing some serious, serious damage to a lot of that team. Dugtrio also looks like a pretty good breaker and cleaner here. Ground and Steel coverage hits 5 out of 9 Pokemon super effective as well. Wonder what kind of set he'll go with. A choice item? Maybe Life Orb? I don't know. But we'll see, I think that Dugtrio is going to play a big role in this match, though. So, with that look at the teams out of the way, let's look at what is actually coming to the match. Starting it off for the Steamrollers, we have that Enamorous. It's running Contrary, so it's a physical set here with Superpower. It's holding an Assault Vest, and we've got Max Attack, Max Speed Jolly, with the 4 extra in Special Defense. Like I said, this has got that Contrary Superpower, so instead of dropping its attack and defense, it's actually going to be raising them. Really nice for that Chansey probably switching in, expecting a special set. You've then got Play Rough and Iron Head to hit the rest of the team, except for that Hisui and Typhlosion. And I'm guessing that's what Outrage is here for. Just nice neutral coverage, hits hard, and covers that option, as well as maybe some others. So, the Assault Vest is the only thing that I think is a little weird about this set. I mean, it'll let it live a Specs Flash Cannon from Hydreigon, but it's not the bulkiest Pokemon, so I don't really know how far that item is going to go in particular over something, like a Berry to live the Flash Cannon, or just, some other item. But I think overall, real solid set. Next up is Volcanion. We've got max special attack modest with max HP, holding the Damp Rock. It's got Steam Eruption and Flamethrower for stab. That Damp Rock is going to be prolonging that Rain Dance for the Basculegion we're going to see coming up. And then Taunt as the last move is really nice. It shuts down the Chansey trying to wall the special attacks, as well as something like maybe Florges trying to set up some Calm Minds on it. Really, really like this set. I think it's just going to be super reliable and enable the rest of the team. Taunt, real smart prep on the side of the Steamrollers here, I think. Now we've got that Basculegion to make use of that Rain. It's got max attack, max speed, adamant nature, holding a choice band with that Swift Swim ability. It's going to be hitting so hard in the Rain. Swift Swim, with that heavy speed investment, actually lets it outspeed max speed Lilligant after a victory dance. So, real nice, convenient speed there, letting it run that still adamant nature for huge, huge damage and outspeeding that threat on the other side. Aqua Jet and Wave Crash are going to go very hard, especially in rain. You've then got Ice Fang to hit the water resists, and Psychic Fangs is there to, I don't know, hit, maybe break some screens if they happen to come, or hit some Terra Watermons, potentially. I don't see anything immediately particularly useful for that move, but I think, you've got Wave Crash, you have Ice Fang for the resists, you're pretty good. Just the nice utility of Psychic Fangs, I think, is pretty nice, actually. Going from Choice Band to Choice Scarf, we have Cyclizar. It's got max special attack with a heavy amount of speed investment and that hasty nature. Little bit of extra EVs going into attack there. We also see it's got that Regenerator ability, of course, and Terra Dragon. It's going to be boosting up those Draco Meteors, and the mixed attack investment is going to let U-turn, Rapid Spin, and Knockoff hit just a little bit harder, making this a really well-rounded out utility set. I think maybe something like Hyper Voice on it would have been nice to take a little bit advantage of that heavy special attack investment, but Draco Meteor is going to be hitting things very hard. U-turn, great pivoting with the Choice Scarf and Regenerator. Rapid Spin, of course, to get rid of any annoying hazards, and Knock Off, hitting things like that Chansey, getting rid of that Eviolite, making it way easier for the rest of the team to break through. Love this set, really, and I think, this Mon, I didn't like it as much, but I've definitely been coming around to it the more I have seen people use it, so excited to see what it can do in this match as well. Getting some more bulk on the team, we have Clodsire here running that max HP, max special defense, careful nature with those leftovers and the unaware ability, letting it ignore those stat raises from the other side from things like Victory Dance. It's got Toxic, Recover, Gunk Shot, and Stealth Rock for a pretty just standard support set here. Toxic is nice to wear down those walls, Recover for longevity. Gunk Shot going for the more powerful but less accurate move to absolutely smack things like Lilligant and Florges. Then you've got Stealth Rock for just some solid hazards. Only thing I see here is that I probably would have liked to see some ground move on here, because as it stands, this thing just straight up can't touch a Lowland Dug Trio. And, if you use those moves, if you reveal that, it just gets to switch in for free and actually could do a decent amount of damage to your team. Stealth Rock, always nice to have, but I'm not sure it's going to be particularly useful in this match. So maybe I would have gone with something like Earthquake there, but you can't really fault any of these move selections here. They're all good moves. And last up is Toad Scroll. It's got its own leftovers running max special attack, max speed, timid, so an offensive Toad Scroll instead of a defensive one. We see it's got a Terra Water to just give it a little bit of better defensive typing there. We've got Dazzling Gleam and Earth Power hitting everything at least neutrally. Then, of course, got Spore on this set, always a great move. And then Leaf Storm, I think, is the interesting move here. We're going for, another stab option and coverage over something like Toxic, Taunt, Leech Seed, or Spikes. I really think a lot of those support options could have done a lot of work. We've seen him include it on those on, some other stuff here. But I'm wondering if the Leaf Storm is specifically coverage for a Terra Watermon, because, Terra Water would start resisting the Basket Legion, start resisting the Volcanion, the Clodsire is running Unaware instead of Water Absorb, so it could just be redundancy for that, because really Dazzling Gleam and Earth Power are the moves it's going to be clicking most of the time, but we just have that Leaf Storm in case it needs to be pulled out for something. So pretty solid set, pretty good team all around. I think this team is really nice and straightforward. Not a whole lot of gimmicks. You could call the Enamorous gimmick running that physical contrary set, but all of these Pokemon, they're just real straightforward. You've got a Bruiser in the Enamorous, you've got support Rain from the Volcanion, then you just got hard hitters and nice support mons. I think really well built team, really well rounded out. Now we're moving on to the Electabuzz. We know exactly what 6 mons were coming, so let's see how they were built out, starting with that Hisuian Lilligant. We've got max attack, max speed, adamant nature, holding that wide lens to counteract the negative effects of that hustle ability a little bit. The speed, interesting to go. Adamant means you are risking being outsped by some things on the higher end of the other team that, Jolly would have outsped, but you are getting that extra power in return. A couple EVs could have been taken out of speed, put into bulk, but wouldn't have been that many, so not really gonna fault them there for that. Looking at the moveset, we of course have that Victory Dance, letting it become an absolutely terrifying physical sweeper. Close Combat, Leaf Blade, and Poison Jab are the moves of choice. Leaf Blade and Close Combat, easy enough. Poison Jab, though, I think is perhaps a little bit of a mistake there. Of course, it hits the Enamorous, but Hisuian Lilligant learns Ice Spinner, which hits Enamorous as well as Clodsire and Toadscruel. So I think that would have been a little bit better of a move there. Maybe he wants it in case of, Terra Fairy somewhere on the other team, but I think Ice Spinner by default would have been a little bit better, but maybe he was bringing it for something in particular. Anyway, though, with that wide lens boosting the accuracy under Hustle to 88%, and that adamant nature, if he can get a Victory Dance off and hits the moves, they are going to be hitting hard regardless of the moves he chose. From physical attack to special attack, we now have Hydreigon. It's got a Choice Scarf and a pretty interesting EV set. We've got max special attack Modest with a little bit of speed and a lot of defensive EVs. It's got Dark Pulse, Draco Meteor, Flash Cannon, and U-Turn for a pretty standard moveset on a Scarf Hydreigon. I'm wondering, though, about those EVs. The Scarf, will let it outspeed the entire other team, as long as they don't have any boosts of their own. Timid could have kept a Scarf Enamorous honest, though. Just more speed would have checked stuff like Scarfed Gallade and Basket Legion. I'm wondering if the defense is there to take some Basket Legion hits. It is, the water resist, the bulkier water resist on this team. So I guess I could see that. But definitely an interesting EV spread there. Moveset, though, no problems with it. You got that Scarf U-Turn for great pivoting, the stabs, and Flash Cannon to hit that Enamorous, which would otherwise resist the stabs. Speaking of things that deal with that Enamorous, we have the Alolan Dug Trio. It's got a Life Orb and Terra Ground. Max attack, max speed Jolly means it's going to be outspeeding that Enamorous. Again, could have saved a couple EVs in the speed there, but not too big a deal. That Terra Ground boosted Earthquake, though, is going to go absolutely crazy paired with that Iron Head. Stealth Rock and Memento are fun options. I like Memento because it lets you weaken something for something like Lilligant to come in and start setting up on. But the Stealth Rock, I really would have liked to see Sucker Punch on this set for something like Scarfed Mons, for something like Swift Swim, Basket Legion in the Rain. I think it would have been nice to have here over maybe that Stealth Rock, maybe that Memento if you didn't want to get so cheeky with it. But really, this thing just needs Earthquake and Iron Head to go absolutely crazy on the other team. So, hopefully it's able to do that. Finally getting some bulk on the team, we have Chansey, of course, holding an Eviolite. We've got heavy HP investment, max defense bold with 20 special defense EVs. Not really sure exactly what those are there for, but I'm sure they're there for something. It's got that Terra-type Fairy for a nice defensive hyping, resist any fighting attacks trying to hit its normal type super effectively. Then, of course, you've got Soft Boiled, Thunder Wave, Seismic Toss, and Heal Bell for just a real standard support Chansey set. Can't really fault him for any choices on this set. It's just a good all-around wall and support piece. Hopefully it's able to do its job, and that Thunder Wave, I think, is really going to be key here, making sure things are slower for stuff like the Lilligant to be able to be outspeeding everything. He's got the Scarfs, but not a whole lot of speed on them, so it would also help with other things on the opposing team that have Scarfs. But, really, this Chansey, pretty solid all around, should be able to do some pretty consistent work. Another bulky mon on the team, we've got Florges here with Leftovers and Terra Steel, probably wanting it for that defensive typing, resist any steel or poison moves aimed at it, be immune to toxic while it sets up, because we can see this is a setup set. Max HP, a lot of special attack investment with a modest nature, rest of the investment going into physical defense. We've got Moonblast, Calm Mind, Stored Power, and Synthesis. Pretty straightforward set here. Stored Power is really fun on this set because Clodsire, Special Wall, resists the Moonblast, and with Unaware would ignore any defense raises or attack raise, special attack raises for here with the Calm Mind. But the Calm Mind boosting the base power of Stored Power does not get ignored by Clodsire, just the actual boosts to the stat. So it's going to still be doing pretty good damage to that mon if it can get up several Calm Minds. Synthesis, of course, giving it some longevity. Only thing is that, well, you can resist those poison and steel moves by tearing steel. You are then weak to stuff like ground moves, which could still make that Clodsire a tough matchup. But, this is a set that I think will either do a lot or do not much of anything, depending on exactly when it gets brought out and how good the opportunity to get those Calm Minds going is. And lastly, we have the Hisuian Typhlosion, a second choice Scarf Mon here, with that nice Frisk ability to provide some information. We've got max special attack modest, a fair amount of speed, and a fair amount of HP here. That Scarf is going to let it just outspeed the entire other team. Could have gone faster to outspeed some opposing Scarfs, just cover some of those bases. You're not the bulkiest Pokemon, so I'm not sure exactly, what calcs we're looking at as far as how that HP is going to be helping you, but you do have powerful Terrafire boosted eruptions and overheats, as well as that stab, Shadow Ball, and coverage in the extra sensory. So that extra HP, if you can live an extra hit or two, you definitely have some options to be hitting back very, very hard. I think overall, pretty solid team here. I think there are a few things that I would have done differently, but I think we're really looking at that Lilligant and that Dugtrio as kind of the win conditions here, and then we've got the Hydreigon and the Typhlosion trying to break through some walls to let them actually get those sweeps off, while the Chansey and Florges are kind of going to be support, offering maybe some ability to switch into some moves, chip down things a little bit for the rest of the team. So I think this team definitely has a chance, despite being, the expected 6 Pokemon, because they only had 6. It'll definitely have to be played pretty well, though, so, well, let's see how it actually does in the match. Okay, and here we are at the match. The Steamrollers, of course, knew exactly what 6 Mons they were going to be facing. For them, in this matchup, Basculegion absolutely goes in with Rain Up. Clodsire and Cyclizar look like they should provide some pretty good consistency and utility in the match. Looking for a lead for them, maybe Volcanion to set up Rain, or honestly, Enamorus matches up well into anything that's not a Alolan Dugtrio, so you could go with that if you want a more kind of put out more pressure with your lead. The Electabuzz, Dugtrio is going to need to put in some serious work here if they want to win the day. Some T-Waves from Chansey could go a long way. Stuff like slowing down that Cyclizar, which outspeeds it. For them, maybe lead Hydreigon. We've got the Scarfed U-turn. Chansey could lead into, a lot of these normal special attackers. We'll see exactly what they want to go for. Volcanion comes out into the Chansey. Turn 1 Taunt gonna immediately shut that Chansey down, trying to go for a Thunder Wave. They actually switch out into Florges here as the Rain gets set up. That's interesting. I probably would have just stayed in with Chansey, gone for something like a Seismic Toss. The Florges, pretty bulky, but not nearly especially bulky as Chansey, so I might have just stayed in, gotten a little bit of chip off, gotten a little bit of information on what this Volcanion was trying to do, but we've now got this Florges in here. Moonblast gonna do some chip, but no special attack drop means that Steam Eruption does a huge amount of damage. Switching now out into the Chansey, who is able to take it, not too bad. Taunt, though, going to shut down the Soft Boiled this time. Again, could have just gone for a Seismic Toss there, but maybe, you know, they were expecting the Volcanion not to be able to do too much to this Chansey, and rather than just wasting rain turns, maybe you expected them to try and switch out to something like that Basculegion. Basculegion coming in now, though, as it's immune to the Seismic Toss that comes out this turn, and, well, where are your Wave Crash switch-ins? It's not Chansey. I probably would have just sacked the Florges there. You know, it's already been brought pretty low by that Steam Eruption. It's a setup set, not going to be able to do that too easily now, and keeping that Chansey around for a lot of these special attackers probably would have been pretty nice, but did let the Chansey go down there. It does reveal the Choice Band, guaranteed KO from that range, but only with the band. So now we come out here with the Hydreigon. It's not going to outspeed in this rain because of Swift Swim, but it does resist and does have some defensive investment, so it'll at least be able to take a Wave Crash, maybe force out a switch. But no, Wave Crash just comes out, does huge damage, and Dark Pulse just picks up the KO there. Interesting move there by the Steamrollers. I might have just wanted to preserve Basculegion, get it some fresh rain later in the game, and it just absolutely tears through everything left. But you know, it got rid of a Chansey and most of a Hydreigon, so it certainly did plenty of work. You do, of course, have the threat of the super effective Sucker Punch coming from the Dugtrio, so maybe, you know, you're just trying to get the value out of it while you could, but you know, another option that, you know, maybe they could have preserved that and gone for something else here. You do have those specially defensive answers in Enamorous, in Clodsire, in Toedscroll, which is pretty naturally bulky. Or maybe, you know, you're just predicting the Electabuzz to want to get some momentum and just go for a U-turn or something there. Who knows? But we're at the turn 9. Lilligant comes in trying to maybe absorb a Spore, but the Dazzling Gleam comes out from Toedscroll to finish off the Hydreigon, catching that Lilligant and doing absolutely huge damage. And here we see follow-up Dazzling Gleam actually KOs because that Lilligant is adamant, not jolly. It does not outspeed this very fast Toedscroll. Real unfortunate here for the Electabuzz. You know, that Lilligant was one of their biggest threats, and it went down literally without doing anything. Of course, we do have the Typhlosion out here now, threatening huge damage with something like Eruption into this Toedscroll. So, well, let's see what happens. Terra Water! Eruption coming out, being resistant, not doing a whole lot, and absolutely destroying it back with that Earth Power. Could have just made the switch into Volcanion, but maybe, you know, fearful of something like a Shadow Ball or an Infernal Parade or something, just the Toedscroll tearing, eating it up, and absolutely doing huge damage back. I love it here for the Steamrollers. Course, just gonna sacrifice the Typhlosion, very weak now, so this Toedscroll doing a whole lot of work. Can it do more? Florges come in trying to set up, get something going, but the Spore is just gonna put it to sleep, and both these Pokemon getting a little bit healthier with those lefties. Now, Clodsire are going to switch in for free on that Asleep Florges. Florges staying in, maybe trying to wake up, get something going here, and Gunk Shot gonna hit and just easily OHKO there. And, well, now we have Dugtrio out, looking pretty in hand for the Steamrollers at this point, but that Dugtrio is pretty dang scary. Of course, it's hitting the Enamorous, the Volcanion, and the Clodsire super effectively. That Toedscroll is weakened. Cyclizar is not the bulkiest thing. Could this Dugtrio pull it back? going out into Toadscroll as Terra Ground Earthquake, easily gonna pick up the KO there. We do see the Life Orb, and Enamorus comes out, which is interesting. So this was a pretty interesting turn here for the Electabuzz. They had a pretty hard decision they had to make there with the Terra. Terra Ground EQ, you need that extra damage to hit an Oko through a max defense Clodsire, but not a specially defensive one. Of course, you're worried about it surviving and then hitting you back with something like an Earthquake of its own, but losing the Steel type does mean that you no longer resist the Cyclizar, which is going to outspeed you and be able to do big damage with something like a Draco Meteor. So pretty interesting there on their part. They decide to just go with the extra power of the Terra Ground, and we'll see if that ends up working out for them. Enamorus on the side of the Steamrollers, also interesting. Maybe just checking to see if it's adamant or not. If it's adamant and not jolly, this Enamorus does outspeed it. But if it doesn't outspeed it, you're looking at probably just getting KO'd by an Iron Head. Maybe you're just looking to rack up a little bit more Life Orb recoil on that Dugtrio. Iron Head does outspeed, come out critical, hit does not matter, little more Life Orb recall, and, well, this Cyclizar is the only thing standing in the way of this Dugtrio and a sweep. It's gotta hit a Draco Meteor, only 90% accurate, and certainly plenty of games in this league have been lost to missing a 90% accurate move before. If it does, EQ looking like an easy KO here. Easy KO on the last two Mons as well. So, well, let's see how it actually goes down. And it comes out, hits, takes out that Dugtrio, and Hydreigon, a second Draco Meteor, will come in and finish off the game in favor of the Steamrollers. Oh man, that was really, really close there actually at the end. You know, if you didn't Terra into that ground type and just went for the raw Earthquake without the Terra, you know, you would have resisted that Draco Meteor. It would have only done 40% or so, I'd say. Let's see here. Yeah, did 81, so resisted to about 40%. Certainly you've got to make it through the Life Orb recoil of taking out the rest of the team, but I think it definitely is possible to do that. So, you know, came out as a win for the Steamrollers today, but really well played by the Electabuzz, being just one missed move away from turning it all the way around and getting that fun sweep from their Tier 5 Alolan Dugtrio. So, that was a pretty nice quick battle. Seemed pretty one-sided at first, but honestly pretty close and well played by both judges. Maybe if the Electabuzz had, you know, preserved some of their team members a little bit better, they'd have had something like that Chansey still around to switch into the Cyclizar. But, you know, well played by them to get to having such a close shot at victory there at the end anyway. And, of course, well played by the Steamrollers. Just nice, consistent, safe play, muscling through the bulk on the other side with these just nice, very consistent, powerful sets they brought. Not taking too many risks and really pulling out the victory in the end. That will be it from me this week, though. So go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff if you want to stay up to date on what is happening with the league. Thank you very much for joining me here for this match of the week, and, well, I'll see you in the next one.